I accidentally caught my husband and my best friend in bed together, in a fit of rage. I smashed everything in the house. My best friend knelt before me, begging me to let them be together. My husband insisted on a divorce. He wouldn't even spare me a glance, to take revenge on the traitors. I printed flyers of their shameful affair and handed them out at his company. I even hung banners outside his office building to expose them at my best friend's graduation. I played videos of our past laughter and memories, those once precious moments, became my sharpest weapon. I finally forced him to the negotiation table, but I didn't expect him to threaten me, using my mother's grave as leverage, forcing me to sign the divorce papers. He completely forgot who took them in when they were desperate, when he and his mother were hunted by creditors. It was my mother who lent a helping hand. When his mother was bullied, it was my mother who stood up for her. They even called each other sisters. But in the end, his mother climbed into my father's bed. My father insisted on divorcing my mother. When my mother saw him holding my hand, she exploded with anger, but I pushed her away. On the day I got married, my mother jumped from the 10th floor. I hated my father. I hated myself, but I never once hated him. In the end, we still got divorced. He only gave me a rundown house in my hometown. I knew I was never a match for him. It had been that way since we were young. I couldn't help visiting my best friend's art exhibit, only to see 2 paintings, depicting their first night together, and the scene was in my home, on my bed. I was furious, rushed up and tore the paintings apart, but the security guards pinned me to the ground. In the end, they had me arrested. I was sentenced to 3 years in prison and had to pay them compensation. 1 year later, I was released early for good behavior, but had nothing left. I had no choice but to leave the city. 5 years later, I returned. While buying a tie for my current husband, I unexpectedly ran into my ex. I didn't want to speak to him, picked up the tie and turned to leave, but he insisted on driving me home. I reluctantly got in the car. When I gave him the address, he froze. It was an abandoned neighborhood, the place where my mother died. As I got out, he called out to me, asking who the tie was for. I told him it was for my husband. He thought I was pretending. I turned and walked away. That evening, he came to my place with my former best friend. I didn't let them in. She brought a gift. A set of leftover makeup. I recognized it immediately. It was the same kind our maid used. She kept saying she had no choice back then. She invited me to dinner, said if I ever needed help, I could come to them. I wanted to refuse, but thought of my mother and agreed. In the car, she kept bragging about her love life with my ex and asked if I minded. I fired back without hesitation. She was speechless. During dinner, my husband called. I answered in front of them with a smile I couldn't hide, but she didn't believe it. She assumed I was dirt poor, living in an abandoned area. She kept flaunting her superiority. What she didn't know was that my husband had bought the entire neighborhood as a gift for me, so I could remember my mother in peace. I returned there every year, just to spend a few days talking to her. They happened to catch me this time, on the restaurant's TV. An interview with a young and handsome billionaire came on. She pointed at the screen, said that was the kind of man I should have married, that if I wasn't happy now, I should get divorced. My ex chimed in, showering praise on the billionaire. I stayed quiet, kept eating, unexpectedly. My ex pulled out a bank card, said he couldn't bear to see me suffer. She also urged me to take it.